Grim morning and welcome to the Grim. I'm your host, Kristen. On today's episode, we'll be opening the gate and entering the Presbítero Matías Maestro Cemetery, located in Barrios Altos, Lima, Peru. So grab your favorite mug, cozy up, and let's take a dig into history. Nestled within the historic Barrios Altos district of Lima, Peru, lies the Presbítero Matías Maestro Cemetery, a hauntingly beautiful sanctuary of history, art, and memory. Spanning approximately 20 hectares or around 58 acres, the cemetery is far more than a burial ground. It's a monument to Peru's culture and historical legacy. Inaugurated on May 31st, 1808, it was the first civilian cemetery in Latin America, marking a dramatic shift from the tradition of burying the dead within the church crypts and catacombs. Its designer, Spanish priest and architect Matías Maestro, envisioned the space of elegance and order, employing the neoclassical style to craft an unparalleled haven for the departed. The cemetery's shadowed avenues twist and turn through a haunting labyrinth of 766 mausoleums, 92 historical monuments, and over 220,000 burials. Each stone facade tells its own ghostly tale, adorned with the masterful and often unsettling work of both local and international sculptors. Within this neoclassical architectural precinct lies the largest collection of 19th century European marble sculptures in all of Latin America. Among its 940 sculptures are pieces wrought from the hands of artisans from distant lands: Italy's Santo Varno, Pedro Costa, Ulrico Tanderini, and Ronaldo Renidi, alongside France's Jean-Louis Barras and Antonio Mercié. These works carved from cold stone whisper of lives long past, an artistry that defies the grasp of time. Unlike traditional graveyards, cemeteries in Latin America embrace a hauntingly efficient style of interment, the stacked burial. Hero-wise walls stretch skyward, their surfaces punctured with recessed niches, silent chambers holding the remains of the departed, stacked one on top of another to conserve space within the sacred grounds. These niches, akin to wall-bound vaults, transform the cemetery into a labyrinth of the dead. For visitors beyond these latitudes who've never seen this burial style, the looming walls often feel unsettling. Yet in Latin America, these walls of the deceased are practical and deeply rooted in tradition, invoking comparisons to columbariums found elsewhere. Still, the atmosphere here carries a distinctive weight, a mingling of solemnity and the unshakable feeling that the walls themselves bear witness to centuries of whispered prayers and unresolved stories. Among its most famous features is the Crypt of Heroes, a grand circular mausoleum inaugurated in 1908 to honor Peru's fallen soldiers from the War of the Pacific that took place in 1879 to 1884. Breathtaking, it rises over 30 meters high. The crypt's central dome is adorned with intricate stained glass, its black veined marble walls engraved with the names of soldiers who perished in the conflict. At the heart of the crypt lies the sarcophagus of Admiral Miguel Grau, the gentleman of the seas, revered for his valor and humanity during the war, and is one of Peru's most beloved national heroes. His naval prowess and humane conduct during the War of the Pacific earned him admiration from both allies and adversaries. Grau's leadership during the naval battle of the War of the Pacific remains legendary. His remains, alongside those of his comrades, symbolize the valor and patriotism that defined Peru's efforts during this tumultuous period. Grau perished at the Battle of Mangas aboard the Huascar, Peru's iconic ironclad ship, while defending the nation's maritime sovereignty. His tomb, located in the Crypt of Heroes, serves as a point reminder of his bravery and selflessness. Nearby in the crypt rests Colonel Francisco Bolognesi, a national hero who famously vowed to defend Arica to his last cartridge. The colonel is immortalized for his unwavering commitment to Peru during the War of the Pacific. Before the Battle of Arica, facing overwhelming odds, he famously declared, "I have sacred duties to fulfill, and shall fulfill them until the last cartridge has been fired." Bolognesi's heroism during the defense of El Morro is a cornerstone of Peruvian military history. His remains rest in the Crypt of Heroes, surrounded by tributes to his sacrifice. Surrounding them are ossuaries containing the anonymous remains of soldiers retrieved from battlefields such as Tacna, Adrica, and Among Us, as well as 234 niches holding the identified remains of combatants who gave their lives for Peru. Another celebrated military hero and statesman within the crypt is Andrea Salvano Cáceres, who played a pivotal role in Peru's resistance during the War of the Pacific. Known as the Warrior of the Andes, Cáceres led guerrilla campaigns against the Chilean forces during the conflict's occupational phase. Cáceres' name, whispered with reverence and unease, looms large in Peruvian history as both a hero and a ghost of relentless tenacity. Born on April 10, 1836, in Alvacheo, his life was marked by the clash of swords, the roar of cannons, and the specter of betrayal. Rising through the ranks of the Peruvian army, Cáceres etched his name into the annals of time during the War of the Pacific, where his unmatched guerrilla tactics earned him the haunting title El Bruno de los Andes, the Wizard of the Andes, or the Warrior of the Andes. Cáceres led the resistance against Chilean forces during Peru's darkest hours. His campaigns in this era became legendary, although often at a harrowing cost. Even after the war, he remained entangled in turmoil, serving two turbulent terms as Peru's president, navigating uprising, coups, and political shadows that seemed to follow him to the grave. In death, Carcius rests in the Crypt of Heroes, his marble sarcophagi surrounded by the bones of the fallen comrades and nameless soldiers, their silent vigil a testament to his undying legacy. His name echoes throughout the labyrinthal halls of Peru's history, a reminder of a man who defied defeat but who was never set free from the ghosts of war. Of the stories of sacrifice and duties, one that truly stands out is for Eufonso Ugarte, whose name is synonymous with patriotic devotion. During the Battle of Arica, he performed the ultimate act of sacrifice by riding his horse off a cliff into the Pacific Ocean to prevent the Peruvian flag from falling into enemy hands. His tomb in the cemetery is a solemn tribute to his dedication to his country's honor, inspiring generations of Peruvians. One of the most recent burials in the Crypt of Heroes is for Luis Alberto Garcia Rojas, who represents the continuality of honoring those who serve Peru. His addition to the hallowed grounds reflects the evolving nature of patriotism and the enduring respect for military service. Each tomb, plaque, and niche tells a story of sacrifice and heroism, immortalizing those who shaped the nation's destiny in the crypt. One of the tales of the crypt tells of a sorrowful woman in black that drifts along the steps to the crypt, her cries echoing through the gloom. According to the cemetery's caretaker, she calls out to those who venture there alone, offering whispered laments. Some say she may be the widow of one of the interred within the crypt, endlessly roaming the shadows in search of her lost husband. Not all military are within the crypt on the grounds, but also in niches and their own mausoleums. General Elroy Giorita is remembered nearby the crypt for his contributions to Peruvian military strategy and his role in modernizing the armed forces. His mausoleum, adorned with a marble angel by artist Artemiro Ocana, is a testament to his dedication to national defense and progress. Oscar R. Benavides was a military leader and statesman who served as the president of Peru during two non consecutive terms. Known for his pragmatic approach to governance, he played a critical role in stabilizing the country during political periods of upheaval. His bronze mausoleum, crafted by renowned sculptor Luis Agurto, reflects his stature as a pivotal role in Peruvian history. A controversial yet influential figure, Luis Miguel Sanchez Cervo served as president of Peru from 1931 till his assassination in 1933. Known for his populist policies and military background, Sanchez Cervo's leadership marked a significant shift in the country's political landscape. His funerary monument, designed by Romano Spazzola, is one of the cemetery's most striking memorials. Beyond the Crypt of Heroes, the cemetery is a living gallery of funerary art. Sculptures by renowned artists such as Anton Mercié, Damia Campani, and Luis Arns Barrias grace its pathways, their works ranging from neoclassical angels to elaborate monuments. The Glory Victis statue, a replica of Mercié's famous piece, stands as a solemn tribute to the fallen. Peruvian sculptures also have left their mark, with works like the Angel of Francisco Granda's Mausoleum and the Cenotaph of Alfonso Ugarte, displaying the remarkable craftsmanship of their time. These sculptures blend artistry with spirituality, offering a poignant reminder of morality and the enduring impact of those laid to rest. Of course, the ground has more than just military heroes or presidents. Jose Maria Jurgen was a pioneering poet and photographer whose works bridged the Romantic and Moderate movements in Latin American literature. His poems often evoked dreamlike imagery and melancholic tones, reflecting the spiritual and existential struggles of the early 20th century. Daguerre's resting place at the cemetery underscores his status as a sanctuary for artists and cultural icons. Renowned as the father of Peruvian literature, Ricardo Palma is best known for his Trecadores Peruvians, or Peruvian traditions, a series of short stories blending history, folklore, and legend. Palma's writings helped preserve Peruvian cultural heritage during a time of significant change. His burial site is a pilgrimage destination for admirers of his literary contributions. One of the most visited and eerily intriguing tombs is that of Peruvian poet Jose Santos Chocano, who made an unusual and chilling request to be buried standing, confined to a mere 1 square meter space. Honoring his wish, Chocano's coffin was placed upright in a vertical niche, a haunting reminder of his poetic prophecy. Etched into his tombstone are lines from his haunting poem, Shipwrecked Life, words that echo through the somber air like a spectral whisper. The square meter that I have looked for on earth will be mine, if a bit late. Dead, in the end I shall have it, only to expect now a square meter, where one day they'll have to bury me standing. Visitors linger at the site, drawn not only by the poet's tragic words, but by the unsettling thought of a man who sought, even in death, to stand apart, forever a sentinel of his own verse. Yet the cemetery is not without its share of intrigue and folklore. One of its most infamous episodes occurred in 1917 when the dancer Nokra Roskaya performed a scandalous ballet among the graves by candlelight. Accompanied by Chopin's funeral march, this ghostly spectacle became a legendary tale, intertwining the cemetery's somber history with the theatrical eeriness of the living honoring the dead. Today, the cemetery's legends continue to captivate its visitors with a theatrical production one night of the year of Don Juan. The cemetery now offers nightly tours. Cloaked in the shadows with just flashlights, visitors experience the weight of the grounds silence. Yet just enough light pierces the gloom for visitors to glimpse haunting masterpieces carved from Carrara marble, like the Aretha La Dama de Martilia, Lady in the Matilla, and the enigmatic El Baston de Hermes' staff. Bronze sculptures such as the mournful A Mother Weeping at Her Son's Tomb and the anguished A Cry of Pain stand as sorrowful sentinels, their forms steeped in the melancholy of the setting. These works adorn mausoleums, many cloaked in layers of mud, bearing their appearance of neglect, as if the living have turned their backs, leaving only the dead to bear witness and visitors. The most distinguished and affluent individuals rest with grand, extravagant tombs and crypts, monuments to their wealth and status. Those of modest means but financial standings find their final repose in Los Nichos, large rectangular structures with individual spaces for the deceased, maximizing burial efficiency. Meanwhile, the common people are interred in ossuaries, communal burial grounds that serve as practical solutions when space is scarce, offering little distinction or privacy. One eerie story shared by historian Jose Bocanegra highlights the cemetery's early history. The first person intended to be buried in this new resting place was the Spanish Archbishop Juan Domingo González de Reguero. However, fate intervened when a painter named Francisco Acosta tragically died in a work related accident the day before the inauguration. By all rights, Acosta should have been the first to be laid to rest, but the authorities had other plans. They concealed Acosta's body, ensuring the archbishop would be buried first in a grand ceremony befitting his status. Only afterward was the unfortunate painter quietly given his proper funeral, a macabre reminder that even in death, prestige can overshadow justice. In the suicide pavilion at Presbítero Maestro, unsettling stories abound, perhaps none more than the chilling tale of Latam. This barber on Cambon Street, described as having Asian features, lured unsuspecting customers into his shop, only to murder them and conceal their bodies. When he realized the authorities were closing in, Latam chose to end his own life rather than face justice. To this day, this section in the cemetery is set aside for suicides and those without religious affiliation. This corner of the cemetery hums with an eerie energy. Caretakers speak in hushed tones of fleeting shadows that dart in between the tombs, and silhouettes that materialize only to dissolve into the night. The air is thick with whispers, anguished cries, and unseen eyes, reminders that the sins of the living rarely find peace among the dead. One of the cemetery's darkest ties to the occult centers upon the tomb of a young woman, her story steeped in whispered rumors and midnight tales. Emilia Montes Torres was only 17 when her fascination with the occult led her down a dark path. She spent her days summoning spirits with a Ouija board, dutifully following every rule. Her little parlor tricks soon took a dire turn one fateful evening when a lingering spirit refused to say goodbye, clinging to her life like a restless shadow. For 4 nights, Amelia shook and shuddered without sleep, tormented by an entity festering within. When death finally came, it was a grim release. She was forever silenced, and the haunting presence vanished with her last breath. Heartbroken, her family commissioned a sculptor to honor her fleeting innocence. Yet the artist signed the stone with a mysterious she, as though Amelia's own displaced soul oversaw its creation. Rumor has it that the sculptor then carved a second, nameless grave, a black tomb beneath her own, meant for the force that claimed her life, so both might find some semblance of rest. In an unforgotten corner of the cemetery, where shadows cling to the crypts and hushed whispers mingle among the breeze, looms the eerie legend of Gregorio Camacho, a woman believed to have traded her soul to darker forces. Gregoria was deemed a witch, who had, so the story goes, bargained with the devil. At her death, her body was left outside the cemetery for 2 days, mistaken for a mere drunk who had collapsed. When the groundskeeper finally hauled her remains inside, misfortune quickly took rot. Her first marked grave was with the statue of the Virgin de Augustias, but it was shattered by morning. Undeterred, he replaced it with an image of Christ, only for that stone to break as well. In desperation, he put on a skull with crossbones, which has stood unbroken ever since. Even now, shaman and witches flock to her resting place, leaving offerings of chocolate, bread, black candles, and pentagrams. One story tells of a shaman seeking Camacho's aid for a twisted soul in love with a child. The potion she bestowed caused the man's bones to break and his ears to bleed, ending his life in a grisly display. In a forsaken corner of the cemetery where no one dares to tread, the earth seeps poison and the air hangs thick with decay. Here known as the prisoner's ground, convicts and criminals lie beneath the soil, stripped of all dignity, their sins leaching into the ground until it turns unholy. Yet the wicked still come, drawn by dark intentions, offering blooded sacrifices of black dogs upon the cursed earth, spilling entrails all over the soil, calling unspeakable evils, and believe the damned beneath are compelled to answer. Grimm's stretch is so deeply cursed that it warps even the holiest of words, and few dare approach, for it is in this place redemption itself has long since perished. This area is, of course, all urban legend, but it leaves visitors to wonder what exactly goes on at night in the cemetery and if the prisoner's ground is indeed cursed with such words. One of the oldest surviving tombs is believed to be of a woman from the San Juan de los Dias neighborhood, interred here in 1810. Local lore claims she ascended to sainthood, inspiring pilgrims to leave flowers, candles, and offerings at her grave. Some devotees whisper their sins in hopes of absolution, while others pray for miracles amid the quiet hush of the cemetery's shadows. Beneath the cemetery statues and walls lurk countless tales, legends, and mysteries. One of them, the story of Ricardito, or Little Richard. Born as Ricardo Espelio Balonevo in Lima on December 10th, 1886, he was orphaned before his first birthday and died at the age of 6 from a high fever, believed to be malaria. His grave now stands in the front of Bruin Pasture Barracks, beside his father's tomb. Local lore claims a statue was erected in his honor, but vanished following a devastating earthquake that damaged much of the cemetery. Strangely, it later resurfaced intact in Spain, prompting an order to return it to Peru, a riddle that remains unsolved. In 1990, Ricolito supposedly performed a miracle, healing a visitor's family member. Ever since, the faithful have come to his tomb seeking miracles of their own, leaving flowers, sweets, and toys in gratitude for his mysterious intercessions. The cemetery has earned a sinister reputation amongst shamans and self styled witches who gather under the moonlight skies to perform their darker rituals. Tales of black magic and eerie conjurings abound, each told in its own chilling way by those who wander these grounds, adding to the mystery and eeriness of the cemetery. Designated as a historical monument in 1972 and elevated to museum status in 1999, the cemetery stands as a cultural and historical treasure, celebrated for its profound significance and haunting beauty. Recognized by UNSSCO as one of Latin America's most stunning cemeteries, it masterfully blends historical reverence with artistic grandeur. Visitors can explore its labyrinth of tombs and crypts through 4 distinct guided tours, each tailored to unique themes: love, patriotic heroism, presidential legacies, and the inevitability of death itself. Like the changing seasons, the popularity of these tours shifts throughout the year. February sees a surge in the interest for the love themed tour, while October and November draw crowds to the tour centered on death. What began as an intimate group of 40 visitors has grown into tours accommodating over 350 participants, reflecting a growing fascination with history, death, and taphilia. This rising interest has directly supported ongoing restoration efforts, ensuring the cemetery's neoclassical symmetry and eerie charm endures. Thanks to its newfound appreciation, the preservation of this site is better than ever, cementing its status as a timeless portal to stories of the past. The Presbítero Matías Maestro Cemetery stands as a testament to the intertwining of life, death, and history. Its mausoleums and monuments speak of national pride, personal sacrifice, and the indelible impact of artistry. Here in this city of the dead, the living are invited to reflect on the fragility of existence and the enduring echoes of the past that resonate through every marble column, shadowed crypt, and silent avenue. The grave grind for the Presbítero Matías Maestro Cemetery was a cortando from homemade. For more honorary grinds in the area, please visit the-grim.com. For now, we're closing the gate on the Presbítero Matías Maestro Cemetery. We hope you enjoyed our dig into history. If you did, subscribe today to join us next time when we open the gate on the Grim.